Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce the chief guest, Professor Seth Kunin from Australia. Professor Seth Kunin has been the Deputy Vice-Chancellor International at the Curtin University since 2016. In this role, he leads the university's international activities, including strategic policy, international marketing strategy, and international partnerships. Prior to joining the university, he was the Vice Principal, Internationalization at the University of Aberdeen in UK and also held senior roles at the Durham University in UK. He is a prominent anthropologist. Professor Kunin obtained his Bachelor of Arts from Columbia University in New York and his PhD in anthropology from University of Cambridge in the UK. His research focused on the application of structuralist theory and methodology to Jewish texts and culture. I would like to invite Professor Seth Kunin to deliver the convocation address.
So thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor and Chancellor. I'd like to be the first, I think, to congratulate all of the students from SLIIT and from Liverpool John Moores University. Congratulations. This is a testament to your hard work and your family's hard work that you've come here today to graduate. This is the first time I've ever been asked to do a convocation address. And like anyone in that situation, what is the immediate thing that you do? You go and look at the internet to see what is the way that you write a convocation address. And that's what I did, and I read all sorts of convocation addresses to see what they were like and to see what I might want to say to you. And then two things came to mind. First of all, in thinking about a convocation address, in many countries, they don't call a graduation or a convocation, they call it a commencement. Now you might say, why a commencement? It's a word that means a beginning. And it recognizes that all of the students here have made a journey of education, a journey of learning, a journey of challenge, but now they're on the next stage of their lives. This is a rite of passage that moves you into the life of work, though no doubt many of you have been working already. It moves you into a different stage in how you address the world and how the world addresses you. So it's an important beginning. And the second thing that came to mind was, in today's way of thinking about education and teaching, we no longer try to do lectures. We no longer have someone speaking at students. What we try to do is to get students to do their own thinking, to get students to do their own learning, and flip the classroom on its head. So the students almost become the teachers with the lecturers there to help. And with that in mind, I wondered, why am I giving you a commencement address or a convocation address? Why aren't you doing it? So if you all look under your chairs, you'll find a piece of paper. Can you please do that? I see you haven't been taken in. So there isn't one there, but what I'd like to do today is to spend these few minutes thinking with you what might be the convocation address that you would write about yourselves, not the convocation that I might address that I might give you. So let's think about it. So I looked in the internet to find the best possible description of how to write a convocation address. And what we're going to do is go through the different elements of that and see where it takes us. So first of all, the thing that you need to do before you do anything else is ask, what kind of convocation address is this? And in this internet site, what it said is, be Shakespearean, be like Shakespeare. Now, am I suddenly going to speak in old-fashioned English and in very complicated sentences with stories and plays that might last an hour and a half or 2 hours? No, I don't think that's what it meant. Instead, it meant we need to think about the different ways of thinking about the world that Shakespeare envisioned. And he had three basic ways of doing it. The first of these is comedy. So as you move forward, as you write your convocation address for yourselves, you need to ask, what kind of life am I going to live? Obviously, it's going to be a serious life, because we all live serious lives, but we have to take it with a sense of humor. We have to be willing to do different things, to face different challenges. I don't know how many people here have read Shakespeare's comedies or seen them in the cinema or at a theater. But one of the things that happens in almost every one of Shakespeare's comedies is that the characters take on different roles. They try different things, they try different ways of relating to other people, they challenge themselves to do things differently and act differently. And as you think about your futures, that's what you need to be thinking about. Life isn't a simple straight line. At different times, we're asked to do different things. At different times, we ask ourselves to do different things. And we have to be open to taking on different roles and different challenges. The second type of way that Shakespeare envisions the world is tragedy. Now, tragedy is a pretty dark word. And if you look at Shakespeare's tragedies, they all end pretty darkly. Pretty much everyone is left dead on the stage. And certainly, I don't think when I read this bit in the internet that that's what they were suggesting should be the case for people beginning their lives. But there's an important aspect of Shakespeare's tragedies. All of his tragic figures face real-life challenges. They face the challenge of looking into their souls and trying to understand what kind of human being they need to be and want to be. They are actually faced with decisions that affect themselves and the rest of their lives. Now, in many of those tragedies, the decisions go the wrong way. But that doesn't have to be the case. And the famous aspect of a Shakespeare tragedy is that the hero speaks to themselves in what's called a soliloquy, asking themselves the really hard questions. I'm sure everyone here has heard of the famous soliloquy of Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question. He's asking that of himself. What does it mean to be a human being? And that's a question that we all have to ask ourselves as well. The final element of Shakespeare's trilogy of types of plays are history plays. And these are plays about kings, they're plays about princes, they're plays about heroes that changed the world. Now, each one of us isn't expected to be a prime minister. Each one of us isn't going to be expected to be a king or a general that's going to transform the world in a big way. But what the history plays also tell us is that little acts have huge transformation. Many of you might have heard of chaos theory, this idea that if there's a butterfly flapping its wings in Amazonia, the impact of that flapping its wings spreads throughout the world in ways that can't be predicted. It transforms the world in ways that no one can know. That butterfly, by flapping their wings, by doing something, is changing the world. And each one of us, whether big butterflies or small butterflies, have to be doing something. We have to be doing something that comes out of the serious questions that we've asked ourselves about what it means to be human, and the different roles, the different comedy roles that we've been called upon to play to be the kind of person we are. So I think when I read that statement, and when you write your own convocation addresses, think about these three different kinds of plays: the comedies, the histories, and the tragedies. Now, the third thing that was on the list was have a message. And I think the message that I'd like you to think about, and each one of you will have a different take on this message, is that we live in a very disrupted world. We live in a world where technology is changing all of the work that we're going to do. It's changing the jobs that you're doing. You studied now, your job is going to change massively in the future, and you're going to have to change with it. And your degree has prepared you to change. So you need to think about that kind of disruption. but we also live in a world that's disrupted by other things that are big that we need to be working to change as well. So the COVID-19 virus is one example of something that just came out of the air, almost literally, in a sudden way that's now going to have a huge impact on the world. And we need to be willing to engage with how do we deal with that? How do we respond to it? How do we respond to the people impacted by it? Global warming is something that is all around us and day by day is becoming more and more serious. That might be an issue that you choose to put in your convocation address, that's something that is part of your life, as part of your impact on history, you'll engage with as well. And coming from the United States, it's hard not to mention the disruption of politics. You look at the crazy nature of American politics today, and you say, the world is really doing strange things, but each one of us here in our commencement address has the ability to impact those things, to change them. Now, the next one is keep it short. And I'm not so sure, if we can draw a moral out of that, but I think we can certainly say we need to have a clear, concise understanding of where we are at the moment, what we're trying to do, and what we're trying to say. And if we can understand what we're trying to do, then we can do it. So we need to be rational, we need to be thoughtful, we need to look at things in that kind of way. So perhaps when you write your convocation address, don't go on as long as I have. Be short, be concise, and say, these are the issues that I have. These are the things that I need to do to change the world. Now, I think the most important advice on the convocation address that you need to make yours is infuse the address with your personality. The convocation address is not mine, it's each one of yours. When you write it, you need to write it not how your parents think, not how your teachers think, not how anyone else thinks. You need to write it for yourself. And that's the important thing. As you think about your futures, as you think about how you'll impact history, the different roles you play, they have to be your choices. And your education that you've received here in SLIIT prepares you well to make those choices. And I'd like to just end with 3 last points, or actually 4. One is that you should avoid cliches. And in a sense, it's saying the same thing. What a cliche is either a phrase that doesn't mean anything, or it's a phrase that because everyone says it, it really has no significance for you as an individual. When you write your convocation address, write it in the way that is you. Write it in your words, write it in your thoughts, write it in your life. And avoid acting and being the way everyone is, the way everyone wants to be the way you are. That's really what that idea is meant to state. The next one is take risks. It's very easy to live a life and always try to do what you're meant to do, always do the easy things. But the well-lived life is a life that challenges itself. It's a life that takes risks and tries to do new things. Just like this convocation address that I'm giving, it's a risk. It might fail utterly, but at least I'm trying it. And when you write your convocation addresses, when you write your lives, take risks. It doesn't matter if you fail. If you fail, get up again and start again. That's the important message. So take risks, live your own life. And finally, laugh at yourselves. You have to be willing to say, I'm not always going to take myself seriously. I'm going to realize that I do funny things, I do silly things, and that's just part of being a human being. We can't always be serious. We have to laugh at ourselves and live the life that we choose to live. And that's the outline that I'd like you each to think about as you write this convocation address on the date of your graduation. Congratulations on the hard work you put in, but now the real hard work, the real humor, the real tragedy, and the real history are all in front of you. So I hope you all live Shakespearean lives. Congratulations again.